Alright, hello and welcome. I am Sai, and this should be episode 3 of the life and suffering of Sir Brante. What this game really made me want to do is to replay Kingdom Come Deliverance. Not replay, continue playing, because I barely played it over the years. I never watched a playthrough of it. But somehow this game is just... I guess it revitalized that urge to finish it, even though that game is super depressing. Anyway, let's focus on this one. Where were we? All right, we have, well, one more death. I have a feeling we will fail during this let's play. Anyway, a storm of expectations. Finally, the day comes when the teachers stop coming to the house. But before you can breathe a sigh of relief and put away the books, Father asks you to come to his study. You've grown, my son. It's time for you to continue your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you, Sir Tibor's School for the children of noblemen and well-off commoners. Naturally, it is not a boarding school for nobles, so you will study there during the day and come home in the evening. You share the news with your best friend, Thomas. Sir Tibor's School, eh? Yeah, I gotta ask my parents to send me there too as soon as they get the coin together. Father says his workshop has toiled day and night for years to save up for my education. The school is based in an ancient estate of Archnean design. The classrooms are tall and spacious, with massive benches. The sounds of scraping quills and lectures on history and imperial law and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict, the lessons tiring. Restless Thomas keeps getting distracted, and several times he gets his hand slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless mastery of their subject. Every day Father asks you about your studies. You have already told him twice how Magra joined the Empire and how the noble's court of honor is different from the commoner's civil court in the city prefecture. But Father keeps pressuring you to work even harder. When it is time to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer for her. And when it is time to go to school, you promise her every day that you will behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behavior of any kind, for you still live by the commoner's lot, and that lot is hard work and suffering. Your first month in school draws to a close, and the teachers announce that there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and the worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, you start considering theology. You still remember the revelations and divine visions that came to you in your earliest years. You have only one more day until the exam. You have locked yourself away in your room. It is already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy, but you have to read through all of them again, at least for one of your subjects. There is a nagging thought on your mind. Thomas ended up in big trouble the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who lived next street. They heard about your wooden fortress and got in an outrage by the fortification built by commoners. They swore to dismantle it tonight. Thomas swore he would defend the fortress until the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue the friend in need? But then you hear your little brother Nathan knocking at the door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He often does that, standing still and staying speechless until either you speak first or he runs away. But this time he actually says something. The door is locked. Are you okay, Brante? Is there anything I can do to help? Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, your family will be very disappointed. You have to refresh your memory on law or theology. Either one or the other. But Thomas and your fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in rage at the thought. Nathan is by the door, trying not to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can, for reasons known only to him. Will you accept his help? Oh, this is... You intently study the books on the secular sciences, focus on law and history. Go help Thomas. You sneak out of the house and run to your wooden fort. Study theology. You devote that little time you have left before the exam to studying theological texts. You put everything away and accept your brother's offer to help. I'm leaning towards this one, but I'm also afraid that will lead us to go help Thomas and not study at all. I kinda want to study, but let's see. You cannot help but pay attention to your brother's quiet, weak voice. You push the books away. Nathan runs to you and wraps his arms around your legs. They should just leave you alone. I don't want you to get sick. Warmth emanates from his hands. You feel the burden of the responsibilities thrust upon you fall from your shoulders. At last you realize something. You can make your own decisions rather than submitting to the will of others. You laugh at this realization and feel a new spring in your step. Nathan laughs with joy when he feels this. He takes your hand and pulls you outside. Oh no. You've studied enough. You spend the rest of the evening playing with your little brother, teaching him how to build a watchtower out of wooden planks, sticks, and old rags behind the house. Nathan's success in construction leaves much to be desired, unlike his skill in covering himself with mud. Still, he is absolutely overjoyed. The morning comes. You barely have time to wake up before you are walking to the menacing edifice of the school. The entire day is a constant flow of questions demanding answers. You give satisfactory responses on law and history, although you are somewhat confused by the many technicalities and chronological orders. Your knowledge of the interpretations of the lots leaves much to be desired. Your parents are dissatisfied with your performance. You know that you could have worked harder. Still, you believe yesterday was not a waste. Alright, I mean, I take that. (11:30) Fall. Noble titles. Your education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realize that there is a certain hierarchy even within the noble estate. It seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of the more eminent human and Archnean gentry. You return home with this new information at your disposal. Father asks you about school after dinner, as he always does. And what is the difference between nobles of the mantle and those of the sword, Brante? You already have an answer ready. The latter status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Archneans, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the Empire. They own land and estates, they fill offices of the highest ranks, and the names of their bloodlines are preserved within the Great Blue Book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted only by the overseer of the province or the emperor himself. And how are such eminent people addressed? With the honorific L before their last name, you respond. Sir Augustine L. Bourne, for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Archneans and their status? What have you learned about them? The Archneans stand above all human gentry. They are born to rule over humans regardless of their titles. No L is required when addressing them. They need no honorifics, for the names of their ancient dynasties are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals. Do whatever an Archnean tells you and never defy them, ever. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That is easy. Father and grandfather are nobles of the mantle. This title cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by any commoner as a reward for great service to the Empire in the Legion or as a civil servant. Father suddenly grows quiet and looks you in the eye intently. Yes, someday you will earn a noble title too, son. All in due time. Sons of the Nobility. Certibor School teaches children of all stripes. Nobles of the mental and low-born parents can send their sons here, and every passing day the children of noblemen invent new ways to snub and bully the commoners. Most of the time, the bully leading them is Diederic, the son of the secretary for the imperial chancellery and a self-important slob. The sons of noblemen never pick on you, however they know that your father has been ennobled by the mental. However, Diederic, and his retinue soon choose Thomas as their favorite victim. Time and time again you ask your friend not to pay them any mind, but again and again Thomas grows angry and snaps at their self-satisfied mockery. It is early morning. The students are busy flocking to the classroom for the next lesson. You wave Thomas over when you see him. He waves back at you, and then a bucket full of slop splashes on him. Needless to say, it is the work of Diederic and his entourage. You hear his familiar creaky laughter. The tailor's son stinks. How dare he sit next to decent folk? Thomas clenches his fists. You're dead, Diederic. He throws himself at Diederic's haughty entourage like a soldier ready to wage war. He attacks them first. This is just what they expected, and they are free to retaliate. He barely makes one movement before 4 pairs of hands grab him at once. Diederic sneers and kicks your friend in the belly. Thomas gasps for air and starts coughing. You stand between them as Diederic readies another kick. The nobleman's son cocks an eyebrow. Why do you mingle with commoners? He asks. Your father is a noble of the mental. You ought to be friends with your own kind, your equals, not the dirt beneath your feet. Behind him, 4 boys hold Thomas down as he struggles furiously. The other students are watching you, frozen in fear. Diederic haughtily extends a hand to you. He clearly expects you to shake it. What will you do? Hell no. He's right, being friends with the sons of nobles can benefit your family. Fuck that. Admonish the nobleman's sons. The children of parents who have been ennobled by the mental still bear the commoner's lot. You seek the school authorities on Diederic and his retinue. You challenge the nobleman's son to a single combat. Very well. That seems to be the most fair. You do not shake his hand. Instead, you challenge Diederic to display at least some dignity by fighting you one-on-one. That is, if he considers himself a nobleman's son, of course. Diederic's face grows serious. There is no way for him to refuse this challenge in public. Diederic makes a sign, and Thomas is released and pushed to the floor. He gets back on his feet, cursing and itching to rush at them again, but you hold your friend back. The teacher of Imperial Law comes into the room just in time. Everybody immediately returns to their seats. A day full of lessons begin. You keep daydreaming of Diederic's face and how you are going to put an end to that nasty smile of his. Let's catch that bastard together and clean his clock. He hurt me, not you. The deal has been made, you tell your friend. This is a matter of honor now. Thomas huffs angrily, but agrees. Diederic is already waiting for you in a narrow back street by the school, his retinue by his side. You walk forward and give him an opportunity to end this dispute once and for all. This is the nobleman's way. If you win this battle, Diederic and the other children of nobles will never pick on the commoner's sons again. If he wins, you will never stand in their way and protect other students. You will fight him one-on-one. Diederic walks forward uncertainly. You both roll up your sleeves. You raise your fists in a fighting stance. Diederic tries to copy your movements. You hit him first. Diederic does manage to land several glancing blows, but he is fighting a losing battle. He has never been in a real street fight. Thomas nods in approval. You have learned a lot from him. It does not take long for Diederic to stop fighting back. One more blow, and he squeals and raises his hands. You have won. You turn to the other nobleman's sons with a victorious look on your face. No more teasing. And if anyone else says so much as one bad word about Thomas, they pay. Diederic's former retinue disperses silently. Good. That was a very good way to handle that. Excuse me while I take a sip of my drink. Alright, the silver tree. Your theology teachers tell you more about Anisote. It is more than just the provincial capital, it is also a sacred place blessed by the gods. It is where the twin gods' first disciples spilled their blood, and from that blood grew the sacred silver tree. Its enormous foliage hangs over the city. You see its branches in the sky every day, but you have never approached the trunk of the tree yourself. Today you will be taking your first trip to the silver tree. Your class is visiting a service in the great temple by the tree's very roots. Thanks to your theology teacher, you and the other students will witness this landmark of the twins' advent up close. Everybody is excited. Soon, you and the other boys enter the slums surrounding the church district of Anisote. The roots are pulsating under your feet. They spread underground all throughout the area. Pathetic, cramped hovels and filthy streets surround the trunk of the tree. They are home to paupers, day laborers, and preachers. The people of the district bow humbly to you and point you towards the temple. They seem at peace despite the abject poverty in which they live. All who live directly beneath the tree are filled with its divine grace, your teacher says. People come here to make peace with the word and their faith in it. Your class is unusually quiet. Everyone is listening to the rustling of the leaves and the underground beating of the roots. The sky above you is obscured by the tree's canopy. You find the temple of the twin gods right next to the tremendous trunk of the tree. It almost seems a part of it. There is a crowd there. Pilgrims dressed in traveling clothes, paupers and beggars, common people of the city, and the occasional well-dressed noble. There are arguments among some people who are gathered in separate small groups. Many people are wandering around, staring upward at the tree's branches. The tree impresses you with its might, and the calm emanating from it. You are filled with a desire to sit down and think of the word, to learn something about yourself, to touch the silver white bark and hearken to the whispering leaves. You are distracted enough to fall back from the rest of your classmates. You notice a small path. It should take you right next to the trunk. A tall, red-haired woman walks out of the crowd of pilgrims. She is wearing a worn white robe. She is no longer young, but her face is youthful and covered in freckles. Her hands clutch a book. You have never seen this lady pilgrim before, yet she looks at you almost as if she has recognized a lifelong friend. She beckons to you and says her name, Matilde, a preacher from Astinia. What she says next shakes you to your very core. It is commendable to see a young man so keen to learn the teachings of the twins, she says. Yet you will never follow the light of truth within the walls of the temple. Inside you will find only the lies about the lots, the erring words of Prophet Isatius sanctified by the passage of centuries. Yet anyone who sets out to read the accounts of the twins' own lives knows that they never so much as mentioned the lots. The red-haired preacher words frighten you. They clash with everything you have heard from Mother, everything you have been taught at school. The lots are a lie? You freeze in fear. Should you argue with Matilde or ask her for more information, or should you treat her as a madwoman and catch up with your classmates? You suddenly feel a small warm hand grasps your own. You see a girl right next to you. She is just a little older than you, wearing a black dress, threadbare yet almost spotless. Her hair is covered by a handkerchief, with only a single golden lock showing. Her brown eyes are burning with rage, her hand pulling you away from the red-haired preacher. You stare in confusion at the strange young girl, your cheeks flushed by the sudden touch. There is just a bit of color on her cheeks too, but then she starts speaking to you quickly. Jeanne. The acolyte of the Temple of the Silver Tree in Anisote, she is a zealous adherent of the old faith and the teachings of Isatius. Don't listen to her, she's dangerous. Come to the temple with me, only there will you see the truth. You stand there, surrounded by the crowd of praying pilgrims and the sound of shuffling feet, torn between two people you have never seen before, and each of them expects you to follow her. But all the while you hear the whispering of the wind in the tree's branches. The branches reach out for you, almost as if the tree wishes to speak to you itself. Can you hear its voice? So follow the girl into the temple. What truth will you learn inside the temple? No thanks. Stay with the red-haired pilgrim. What else does she have to say? Leave them and approach the tree. The tree, it knows more than any human. Give in to the epiphany. You open yourself to the tree and listen as it speaks. Yes. You step away from the girl in black and the woman in white, your eyes transfixed by the tremendous towering trunk of the tree. For some odd reason, you recall Mother's ant farm, with the ants hard at work inside and her face as she explained its laws. It is a fleeting distant memory, a child's realization about the workings of the world at large. And at this very moment, you see yourself and all the other people for the ants they are. You cannot look away from the tree. The people around you begin to fade away, their voices melt together and disappear. The world that surrounds you feels frozen and still now. The slow swaying of the rustling branches is all there is. The branches catch you and raise you up. You soar in the air, higher and higher along the trunk of the silver tree. The branches, the leaves, their light is blinding. Their light holds you up and embraces you. Please don't tell me the tree killed me. And at this moment you realize something as clear as the daylight beating down on you from high above. This tree is divine. There is no doubt left in you. The tree was planted by the twin gods and left in this land, an ever-living proof and the mark of the twins' existence. And the tree, it speaks to you, speaks in a language you understand, in the language you learned long before you were born. It speaks of soothing love, and of crystal clear law, and of love and law intertwining to bring the miracle of life to you. From this high up you can clearly see all of the land below. From here you see the entire empire, embroidered with a shining thread of providence, illuminated by the twins' presence. It takes you but a moment to finally realize what the teachers have been talking about all this time. The fates and lots of the people, the workings of life and the empire, it was all created and arranged by the twins, and absolutely everything bears their mark, their design, and inspiration. The fates and lots of the people. Okay, so is it not a lie then? The lots are not a lie? And it is in this world that you were given life. Somehow the tree seems to realize that the revelation is not fully within you. It gently lowers you back down to the ground. You glide down between the glowing branches, illuminated by what you have just seen. You spoke to them? You come back to your senses. You are still standing by the tree, firmly rooted to the ground. The branches release you, and you are once again aware of the pilgrims' prayers and the noise of the crowd. The young girl in black is staring at you. She is clearly agitated. My uncle is a priest, and he told me the twins can choose to speak with you throughout the tree, but I never seen it happen before. Jeanne starts asking you questions. She wants you to tell her what you just experienced, but you cannot speak. It is so difficult to see the temple's familiar interior again, to see the district around it and the sky above. The memory of the sight from atop that silver tree now gleams in your mind. I just hope you'll share your revelations with me someday. Don't worry, I'll get it. My name's Jeanne. I'm an acolyte. I work in the temple. I help my uncle clean the grounds and cook food for the poor. And I also greet the worshippers. People come here all the time. Many are lost and they don't know where to go once they are inside. But nobody should feel lost in this place. The temple is for all the estates. But then you hear your theology teacher calling you. It is time for your class to return to the school. Before you leave, Jeanne suddenly takes your hand. You can't help but blush. Please, listen to me. Few people ever see these things. The twins, they were speaking to you, and you heard them. It's a sign. You should become a priest. You'll be guiding those who cannot hear the twins. You'll be helping their souls find a way to the top of the pillar. It's the most honorable calling in the world. You say goodbye to the young acolyte, yet as you return to your ordinary life, Jean's words remain in your memory from that day forth. You experience a revelation by the sacred silver tree. The shadow of the past. Another school day has ended. You are making your way home, still mulling over the things you learned from your teachers. The founding of the empire, the eternal and unshakable rule of a single dynasty, the 3 estates, each with its own rights. What an odd sort of order the world has, and yet so mysterious. At least it sounds that way when your teachers talk about it. Mother is waiting for you on the porch. She smiles gently when she sees you, and yet her expression still shows great concern. Father left on a trip to several distant migrant towns a few days ago. Since then, Mother has been trying to tell you something, but she seems uncertain. Son, could you put your things away and come pray with me? You join Mother in prayer to the twins. She prays with fervent sincerity, her head bowed low, reciting the words of obedience to them and their great design in a barely audible whisper. You repeat after her just as she taught you ever since you were a little boy. When the prayer ends, Mother sighs and turns to you. Brante, my son, you are 13 now. You'll be grown soon. It's time you learned about certain things that are important to our family. Difficult things. It's about your father and me, about our marriage. You gaze curiously into Mother's eyes. I'm sure you wondered about this before. Your father is a nobleman of the mantle, so how could he marry a commoner with another man's child? But you see, Brante, your father, when his first wife, Amelia Alborn, died, it was a painful blow to him. He lost the will to live, lost all purpose. He felt like his own destiny was cut short that day as well. And then he met me. You know the troubles I had in the past. I went to the prefecture as a petitioner to ask them for help, protection, justice. When I was a young girl, I worked at a small shop that sold crockery and dishes. A nobleman took a liking to me. May his name be forever forgotten. The twins know I was humble and honored his lot to rule, but he took me by force. Mother falls silent, summoning the courage to continue. Glory is that nobleman's daughter. But he was outraged. How could I have the gall to burden him with low-born progeny? He turned me out on the street with that little baby girl in my arms. Mother's voice is shaking now. You take her hand tenderly. I had no home, no honor, nowhere to go, no one to help me. When I went to the prefecture, I didn't really think that the judges there would help me find justice against my former master. But when Sir Robert heard my plea, his eyes met mine, and I believe that at that very moment the twins themselves granted him the gift of their love. Your father told me that there was nothing he could do to make that detestable nobleman marry me. But he would never abandon me and baby Gloria, and if I agreed, he would take me into his own home. Tears are running down Mother's cheeks. And I knew it, my son. I knew how much his honor and reputation would suffer. But caring for me brought him back to life. It's like he experienced another sacrament. He rediscovered his noble purpose, his lot to rule and protect and care for others. But his decision to marry me is still paying for it today. Your father had the courage to defy your grandfather, the founder of his bloodline. If only you knew how much he had to endure, my son. If only you knew the despicable rumors we heard about the Brantes all over Anisote. It was only thanks to the efforts of Sir Gregor that the Brante bloodline managed to hang on to what little remained of its reputation, and now the noble families have all but forgotten about that scandal, thank the twins. Mother falls silent. She looks at you intently. Do you understand what she is telling you? Yeah, basically she's in debt to my dad and my grandfather. That's how she feels. My son, I'm not telling you this just to share the pain of my past. I have no reason to complain. Even Sir Gregor has accepted me through gritted teeth. But you need to understand the heavy burden our family must bear. including our scandalous marriage and Gloria's foul origin. And Gloria, she can never be a Brante. Even if the elder Brantes agreed, the news would stir up the old scandal in the minds of high society. And if that were to happen, Bronto, they would see even your birth as illegitimate. Mother sighs heavily. What I told you just now is something you have to know, son. You are about to enter adult life. By my lot, I must be humble. I cannot tell you how to treat your family. But may I ask you a question? Now that you know all of this, do you still see Gloria as your sister? Regardless of her origins, Gloria will always be family. What is good for the family is good for you. You will be more wary when dealing with Gloria. From now, distance yourself from Gloria or accept her. Sorry, I should read this out. Or evade the question. You do not want to disappoint Mother or Gloria, but you are not ready to promise anything just yet. No, of course, she is my sister. I accept her. Filled with determination, you assure Mother that Gloria is and will always be your sister. You want Gloria to be a Brante too. You want her to be part of your family. Who cares what the nobles of Anisote say? Mother beams with quiet joy when she hears this. Oh, Bronto, if only you knew how happy that would make me, to have our family united at last. However, the joy on her face quickly gives way to concern. But I already owe good Sir Robert a debt I can never repay. He's given my daughter so much, a home, an education, his care and advice. The Brante bloodline could suffer so much from Gloria's existence. We should all just learn to accept her status as it is. Just then, you hear Gloria carefully knock at the door of Mother's chambers. Let me take a second just to clear my throat, and also I'm really against this. I don't like people who always feel like they owe someone, even if that someone is like, you know, like their partner or their parents. Like, sure, you owe them, but don't make your life around that whole life. You get me? It's more familiar in Eastern cultures, where family is everything, right? Like, as a children to your parents, you are basically sort of not forced but committed to make their own life great as they get older and older. And that just means you can never live on your own. Because by the time then you will get more children, right? Your parents might die, but then there's new responsibility throughout your own life. That's just, you know, my take on it. Whatever. All right. Mother, Bronto, I couldn't find you. You happily greet your sister. Yes, she is your sister. No old secrets can ever change that. Mother gives you and Gloria a kiss on the forehead and returns to her prayers. You and your sister walk downstairs together. Mother is alone by her bedside now, thanking the twins with a quiet prayer for the Brante family they have given her. You hope they can hear. Year 1131, Fall, the Flesh and the Flame. You are 13 now. Another theology lesson. Today's sermon is about the priests and why the clergy is the only one of the 3 estates with the right to interpret the lots and guide the other 2 estates accordingly. Thomas sits next to you, huffing and puffing as he fervently writes down the teacher's every word. But you heard all this from Mother many times before, so you take this moment to daydream a little. Feather promised to take you to the capital once your studies are complete. Excuse me? But the teacher suddenly casts a stern look around the lecture hall and raises his voice at one of your classmates. A boy by the name of Brian jumps out of his seat. The teacher asks him to repeat what he had just said. Brian freezes and seems to shrink. He tries to muster a reply, but nothing comes out. The class becomes agitated. Someone is about to get punished. The teacher now looms over Brian, The boy's cheeks are flushed and his eyes are covered in tears. You all watch the teacher's iron-bound book as he raises it sharply, about to strike. Brian shrieks and raises a hand in front of him. A sudden flash. The teacher screams and buries his face in his arms. His hair is ablaze and his skin is covered in horrible burns. It's magic! Real magic, just like in the books about the Magra rebellion. The class freezes in shock. There is a dull thud as the iron-bound book falls to the floor. Brian's hysterical laughter rends the silence. He stands up from his bench, fire in his eyes and sparks on his fingertips. What is going on? What? So suddenly there's a superhero boy. Okay, that's kind of weird, but we are going to roll with it. There are screams now. Students run for the door. The teacher tries to extinguish his burning hair. So he's not dead? Wait. A sudden flash and buries his face. His hair is ablaze and his skin is covered in horrible burns. Okay, I guess he's not dead. Brian snaps his fingers and the books of inquisitors on the desk turn into pillars of flame. He laughs and raises his arms and the curtains catch fire. The screams grow louder as the fire howls. Brian's face is tense and violent. His mouth is spewing flames and his whole body is shaking with laughter. He steps towards the door. You and Thomas glance at each other. It's going to burn the whole school down. Your friend's determination makes you brave. You run behind Brian and knock him off his feet. You both tumble to the floor. Even through his clothes, his body sears your flesh. Brian screams, convulses, and grabs Thomas by the shoulders with his burning hands. Thomas howls but stays put, then knocks Brian senseless with several fierce blows to the head. There are servants fussing around the room. They put out the fire and take away the teacher, his body covered in horrible burns. You and Thomas remain next to Brian, who is lying on the floor silent. Soon, 3 men in black... Okay, ancient men in black, what is this? Soon, 3 men in black cloaks enter the doors of the school, each bearing an edict sealed with silver. The Inquisition. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. See what I did there? Okay, you and Thomas are told to step away from the witch. They lock Brian's neck in a silver collar and take him away. One of the Inquisitors remain behind to tell the students what happened. That was magic, he explains. The ungodly power that twists the minds of men into savage instruments of murder. Only the sacred shackles of silver can hold it at bay. Only the power of the twins can save us all from its evil grasp. The next day you are forbidden from ever mentioning Brian's name again. He is no more. Okay, this is just an automatic +1 relation, I guess. The nobleman's lot. A great day looms ahead. 100 years ago, Uther Tempest was anointed to rule over the empire. Blessed by the twins themselves, the emperor's reign continues into its 2nd century. Celebrations in honor of the Tempest dynasty are held throughout the city, and the school is closed for 2 weeks because of that. On one of these evenings, father tells everyone that grandfather is going to bring Stefan back home for the holiday. They say families should celebrate the day of anointment together. You could benefit from your elder brother's company. With his noble education, Stefan might be able to teach you how noblemen are supposed to act. Soon, Stefan arrives. He now handles himself differently. When it comes to ordering servants around and ignoring Gloria, he is still grandfather's double, but he is more grown up now and far less haughty to you. He just reminds me so much of like Draco Malfoy, even slightly his looks. It is a dark winter evening. A damp cold wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands of Magra. You and Stefan are sitting in the library. He is telling you all about Eterna, the capital of the Empire. It is full of so many wonders. The Imperial Palace, the enormous Temple of the Twins, the Military Academy, the Imperial College. You have read so much about these places, yet he has seen them firsthand. Nathan enters the library. He looks concerned. I can't find Gloria. I looked everywhere. She's not in the attic, not in the sitting room, not in the kitchen. I heard she wanted to sneak off to the ruins of Shar Milanidas' palace. She could be lost in there. You and Stefan exchange looks. Shar Milanidas, the rebellious duke. The ruins of his palace are a dangerous place. Some children claim his tainted magic still lingers there, which means you absolutely have to make your way there and back again to prove you are not afraid of the long-dead witch. Your brother tells you to wait. He leaves and soon returns with his sword in its sheath. Get ready, Bronto. We're going to rescue Gloria. She must have gone to the ruins in search of inspiration for another one of her little rhymes. The two of you instruct Nathan to tell your parents you've gone for a walk in the square. You and your elder brother head outside. You are confused by Stefan's actions. He refuses to treat Gloria like a human being, so why is he still so determined to rescue her? Stefan notices your expression. Are you wondering why I care about Gloria all of a sudden? I can't act in any other way, can I? The law of honor compels me to protect my family. Gloria will never be a Brante, but father still took her into our house. I must respect his seniority and defend Gloria like she's one of our own. You are a Brante too, noble or not, which means it is your duty to aid me. The ruins of Shar Milanidas' palace span an entire district. The palace was abandoned centuries ago and its remnants are overgrown with thick underbrush. The ruined palace is empty, nothing but cold wind blowing over crumbling brickwork. Even the worst scum of the land steer clear of this palace. You make your way through the ruins until you spot scattered sheets of paper covered in writing. Your sister's writing. You hear loud laughter coming from behind a dilapidated stone wall nearby. You pull yourself up to peer over it. Gloria is lying on the ground face down, twitching and sobbing. A gaggle of drunk young thugs are surround her, cackling and swinging their arms about. You hear their shouts. Look at the lads sitting there rhyming words together. She thinks she's all noble, but don't you worry, you low-born tart. We're gonna teach you your place. One of the louds spits at Gloria as she lies there. Get away from her this instant, you bastards, or I'll spill your guts. They respond with mocking laughter. Stefan draws his sword. The street thugs recoil in fear, but they soon notice that he is only one-armed man against many. They start reaching out for sticks and stones. Stay by my side, don't let them flank me. Stefan's hands shakes, but he looks ready for battle. He is outnumbered. For a moment you hesitate. Perhaps it might be better to run for the nearby district and call for guards. The young thugs are already armed with makeshift weapons. They start approaching you and Stefan cautiously. We could charge. Charge the attackers. You grab the heaviest rock you can find and get ready to fight. Follow your brother's orders. You get busy defending Stefan while his sword does the attacking. I'll call the guards. You leave the fighting to Stefan and run for help. I think this would be the smartest option. But because we have this unlocked, and he had training, right? So I better follow him. Stefan's firm voice fills you with confidence. You follow your noble brother's orders. It takes a moment to grab a stick, and then you are at Stefan's back, angrily swinging at the louds as they try to bring him down. One of the louds lunges at your brother with a stone, but you hit him with the stick, and he falls down right at Stefan's feet. His sword flashes, the blade sinks deep into the youngest man's stomach. He wheezes, blood starts pouring onto the ground. The thugs freeze. Stefan pulls the sword out, his face an inscrutable mask, and returns to his fighting stance. You are stunned to see Stefan take another man's life so easily and effortlessly, like picking his own teeth. The thugs look like they are about to flee. There is rage and confusion on their faces. They never expected the young nobleman to use that sword. Stefan just scoffs at them. Lowborn scum, that's all you are. This is the only language you understand. Good job, brother. Gloria, get up. We're going home. He turns to glance at your sister, giving the enraged thugs just enough time to rush you. You get separated from Stefan. Your back is against the wall now. They hit you hard in the stomach, then the face, then the side of the head. Then your mind slips away. When the darkness disperses, you find yourself lying in your bed. Stefan is in the armchair next to you reading a book. He's alive, with left arm in a sling and a black eye, but still alive. Your head is spinning and you feel nauseous. You try your best to sit up. Stefan looks up from the book. Don't try to get up. You lost a lot of blood. I suppose that was a few tags too many for a single warrior, even with good backup. I'm impressed. We fought like an army. The noble orders the commoner obeys, all according to our lots. We defended the family's honor together. You know, brother, the nobleman's lot is also a great burden that few are able to bear. It takes courage, not to fight everything you see, but to do your duty. Each and every decision a nobleman makes becomes a part of his family's legacy, flowing in the blood tide forever. I think about it often. A noble mustn't act weak. A noble mustn't suffer like people of the lowborn lot. A noble must rule over them wisely. A noble must ensure that they have work to do. It's not merely your own lot you have to look after. You have to ensure that 1,000 others can live by their lot as well. And there are so many more matters to take care of. Honor, dignity, tradition. It's tough, but it's what it makes to be a nobleman. Do you understand what I'm talking about? There is approval in your brother's eyes, for the first time in a long while. It was a pleasure to fight by your side, brother. Huh. Still have some willpower left as well. Trial of the assailants. Before long, the entire city hears how a gang of lowborn thugs assaulted Stefan Brante. Grandfather ensures that the brash young men are found. Some of them are taken into custody as soon as lesser death releases them. Oh right, I forgot that people resurrect. Grandfather seeks vengeance on those who hurt his favorite grandson. Prefect Alborn, a friend of your family, promises to personally oversee the trial and ensure that justice is served. Stefan and Grandfather decide to stay in Anizote until the trial ends. Grandfather demands true death for every single assailant. You ask Father to explain something. How can a legal court sentence criminals to true death? How can worldly judgment overrule the twins' law? Your words are true, my son. Their law is second to none. Yet the twin gods also made the empire and all its ways. The court of law exists to execute the laws of heaven here in the world. Should a court of law sentence a person to death, the law high above will always enforce it. And so every execution brings true death. The commoners who assaulted Stefan, a born nobleman, have committed a grave offense, there is no doubt about that. And yet, according to the Empire's decree, even commoners have the right to defend themselves when they are about to face true death. This means that all of us will have to appear at the trial and testify before the court. Evening comes. Gloria visits your room. She looks crestfallen, and her fingers keep reaching for her long hair. You put away your school books and ask what is bothering her. The trial is tomorrow. I thought I was going to appear there too as an eyewitness. After all, this whole mess started because of me. But Sir Robert isn't even going to mention that I was there. Can you imagine? He says it would ruin the case. Why am I always in the way? Nobody ever mentions me, nobody has to listen to me. It's like I don't even exist. And I thought Stefan standing up for me finally meant something. Maybe I will become part of the family. But no, everything is back to usual now. Gloria tries her best to hold back the tears. You do your best to comfort her, Father just needs to keep the family out of trouble. If Sir Robert believes that I only bring trouble, why did he took me into the house at all? Gloria runs away. You return to your books, but you can't help but get lost in thought. What if they told the court you weren't there either? How would you feel then? There is a knock at the door. It is Father. He closes the door behind him and sits next to you. There is an exhausted look about him. Son, you will be testifying before the court tomorrow. Please remember what I'm about to tell you. Gloria wasn't at the ruins at all. You went there with your brother to inspect this historic site. The lowborn man insulted Stefan first and then attacked him. Stefan had managed to deal with the assailants on his own by the time the guards intervened. Gloria will cast suspicion on the case. If you mention her very existence to the court, the reputation of the family will suffer. Your grandfather will never forgive me if that happens. Do not let me down. We are all counting on you. You recall the night of the fight like it was a moment ago. Gloria sprawled under the feet of those crackling cackling thugs, her poetry, her greatest treasure scattered on the ground. She thinks she's all noble. Those were the words they spat down at her. But doesn't grandfather mean the same thing when he denies that she's part of the family? But if you do what father tells you, the trial will end quickly. Those commoners will face true death for assaulting a noble. If you mention Gloria, things will get complicated and you cannot predict how the trial will end. Which is more important to you, what is right or what is just? You are determined to change father's opinion and make sure Gloria gets the fair treatment she deserves. You look father straight in the eye and tell him what you think. You are not going to bear false witness in court. He is a judge himself. How can he make you lie to Sir Elborn? And what of Gloria? Is she not a Brante too? Does she not deserve justice? Or maybe grandfather is right and she is just a freeloader who deserves nothing but shame? If so, then how come father agreed to take her into his home and under his protection? Saying this to father is tough. Deep inside you pray he hears no weakness in your voice and sees no blood rushing to your cheeks. But it seems he is listening to you intently. The wrinkles on his forehead grow deeper as his fingers stammer out a staccato against the armrest. This is going to be tough, son. But you are right. I took Gloria into my home and so I must protect her like my own daughter. This was my decision and I must stand by it. I will speak with Stefan in the morning, and I pray your grandfather never hears of my change of heart. The day comes. The trial takes place in the lesser hall of the city prefecture. Sir Elborn himself presides as the judge. You are the first to testify to the court. You tell the court the truth about that night. How the thugs humiliated Gloria, how Stefan and you came to help her, and how Stefan defended his half-sister. Out of the corner of your eye, you watch grandfather's face grow red, yet he remains silent. There are confused whispers in the hall. The commoners on trial cry out, "It's the truth." Gloria was reciting poetry and they simply told her she was defying her lot. The situation has changed. By this account, Stefan was not acting in defense of himself or another. He merely assaulted them first in order to retaliate against those who had insulted his half-sister. You spread your feet to stand firm and inhale before you speak next. Yes, the hall. Is it not a nobleman's duty to honor his family name? Gloria does not have the Brante name, but your father took her into his home. Therefore, it was Stefan's duty to protect her, as he would have protected any of you. Contemptuous chuckles rush through the courtroom. You have just reminded the city of father's shameful second marriage. Stefan is to testify next. He reluctantly confirms your testimony, glancing at father and grandfather all the while. His arm in the sling is his main argument. Stefan wanted the commoners to stop insulting Gloria, yet in the end the commoners were the first to assault him. After a short recess, Sir Elborn returns and rises to deliver his sentence. The court of Anizote finds you guilty of assaulting Stefan Brante, a nobleman, who stood in defense of the honor of Gloria, a member of his household. All 4 defendants are sentenced to true death by hanging. There is no wind, but you feel a gust sweep through the hall. The defendants turn pale, their mothers are bawling and crying. Everybody in the court feels the dreadful power of the law, and it is stern and just. That very power has been invoked by this sentence, and by that very sentence the lives of the 4 young men are literally forfeit for all eternity. The gallows awaits. Stefan stands in the front row. Father stands next to him. The wood creaks. The trapdoors open under the young man's feet. They dangle in the air, wheezing and reaching out for support with their feet in their final moments. Grandfather's silence ends at home. He screams at you and father, at Stefan and Gloria. This trial is a disgrace. His screams are punctured by the thudding of his walking stick against the floor. Father says they had to defend their family. It would have truly been a disgrace if they had shirked their responsibilities. Stefan excuses himself to bandage his arm in order to stay out of the argument. Gloria is quiet but glowing. You stay quiet too. It is all over now. Look. Since they had true death, the thugs, right? My point was that maybe they won't get a true death if we tell the truth. So this was really pointless because it just made grandfather angry. But I guess we shall see at the end. Yep. It is all over now. Nobody bullies Gloria on the streets anymore. Those 4 commoners are dead forever. Their families were taught a cruel lesson. So will it be with anyone who dares to raise his hand against a nobleman? Okay. Family honor is bad. However, the unity is rising. Nobility, spirituality, and willpower is down. Okay. Forbidden love. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Forbidden love. Another day of school is behind you. You are now wandering your district, taking your time before going home. It is getting dark. Soon we are walking past the splendid mansion of Count El Velasco, one of Magra's richest landlords. You hear a family voice from the other side of the iron fence. It is Stefan's voice. It is followed by the sound of a young lady laughing. You peek through the fence and into the mansion's garden, and indeed there you see your elder brother dressed like he is going to meet the emperor himself. He is currently busy helping a pretty young lady out of the window. She locks him in an emotional embrace. You recognize her, Maria El Velasco, Count El Velasco's daughter. And as the whole city knows, she is already betrothed to another young nobleman from a far more illustrious family. Oh, Maria, I thought I would help you come down to earth from your heavenly abode, but your very touch brings me to the heavens. He picks the Count's daughter up and holds her in the air. She laughs almost imperceptibly and kisses him on the cheek, but then Stefan takes her by the chin and turns her face to him. Their lips join in a kiss. A flurry of emotion washes over you as you watch it happen. Stefan is putting the reputation of his entire family at risk. Acting so frivolously with the Count's daughter may turn the Count's influence against all the Brantes. And yet Stefan always speaks so highly of noble bearing and composure and family honor. Stefan's face is glowing with joy. Your older brother, he is happy, truly happy. You have never seen Stefan like this, as his arms hold the Count's daughter in a tender embrace, so gently as though he fears to hurt her. And Maria reciprocates his feelings. Must you really rob them of their secret joy? If you ever speak to him about this, no one else must hear it. You wait by the gate patiently until Stefan decides to return from his escapades. He is startled when he finally notices you standing by the gate. If Stefan keeps acting like this, he will bring disgrace upon the entire family. Remind him what a nobleman's honor means. Aid Stefan in his cause. You promise you will keep brother's secret. Our family honor is so bad already, but I can't go against my morals. We are aiding him. What are you doing here at this late hour, Brante? Is there something you wish to tell me? You confess to Stefan that you saw him today in the El Velasco garden with the Count's daughter. This affair puts both families' honor at risk, yet you say you are happy for him. You can see how much he cares for you. No matter what, it is worth the risk. Stefan can trust you with this secret, you assure him. The two of you will keep it together. Stefan reacts to you with anger at first, but your supportive words calm him down. You've got all the makings of a professional spy, but you're right, the risk is too great. Your aid will not go amiss, you are no nobleman yet, but I hope your word is worth my trust. From that day on, you help Stefan and Maria avoid attention on many occasions. You even have to distract El Velasco's menservants and lead them away on a wild goose chase throughout the district. In the end, you are never caught, and you earn your brother yet another night with his beloved. They are both aware that the days of their hidden love are numbered. But how will your escapades affect the family's reputation? You and your brother agree. Whatever happens, happens. Young love is worth the risk. Okay. You find out about your elder brother's forbidden love. Okay, so that was just a short choice that we got unlocked, and I guess that is finished. Oh? This event is a consequence of your previous actions. An adult question. Is this related to the tree? The day is sunny, scorching and hot. You are sitting in the yard in the shade of a tree, studying books about the twins' great descent. You hear shy, quiet steps. There is no need to look back. You know from the sound that it is Nathan. Your younger brother also sits in the shade of the tree, yet he is quiet. He is not tugging at your clothes this time. That is unusual. He is just sitting by your side, breathing loudly. You tear yourself away from the book and look at your brother. Nathan is deep in thought. He seems uneasy. He is fidgeting with the symbol of the twins, a cross inside the circle. The lash bound around the sword. This is Nathan's pendant. He wears it all the time, but not today. The silence wears on. Nathan takes a deep breath, like he is about to speak, but he does not. His face grows even grimmer. He looks unusually hurt and bitter. At last, Nathan gathers his courage. He takes another deep breath. His eyes narrow. His hand clutches the encircled cross. Tell me, Brante, the twins, they hate me, don't they? Nathan's voice is quiet, yet firm. The world falls silent around you, not even a gust of wind can be heard. It is as if everything is waiting for your answer. You look at your brother again, confused. Nathan, the youngest brother, the most unassuming child, he is quiet, obedient, and thoughtful. He has been your responsibility almost since his birth, yet he has never been a burden. Father was always aloof around him, and mother was too tired to even smile. Even grandfather seemed to avoid Nathan with his scorn. He just treated your little brother like a piece of trash. He never called him by name and always winced at the sight of him, perhaps because he looked so much like mother. But is it true that the twin gods had no love for your little brother? Surely the twins have enough even for little Nathan, do they not? Nathan was born a commoner like you. His lot is suffering. Everyone is tested by the twins before their true death. No one can expect mercy along their path. He was born the youngest child in your family. That is his trial. Should Nathan persevere and bear the burden he was dealt, he shall yet reach the peak of the pillar when his time runs out. There is hope in Nathan's eyes as he looks at you. Guiding others in matters of faith is the clergy's lot. You are no priest, yet you cannot stay quiet. You see his pain, you see his trepidation, and so you will tell him what you think. What you are about to say may be a turning point in his life. The twins are love for all that exists. Dispel Nathan's fears, or confirm Nathan's fears. Your brother is right, the twins are stern and ruthless. This is hard. What do I think about the twins? The twins themselves might not be totally evil, right? That's my thinking. But their teachings could be taken in the wrong way. Should we go with that? However, they do kill people, and there's the lot thing, as it seems. Your brother is right, the twins are stern and ruthless. You are quiet for a moment, and then you speak. The twins are stern indeed. They pay no heed to the wishes of men, for they are the gods. And actually, if they are gods, they could change the world, instead of having them in this lot bullshit. They have their own vision, and they follow it to guide all people to greatness. But how can the twins guide people when they are not people themselves? But there is a positive side to this. You do not have to love them either. After all, how can you force yourself to love forces that hate you just for being born? How can you force yourself to love entities that see you as wicked beings that can do nothing but blindly obey their will? For our gods have no mercy indeed, and their law is inhuman. We have to accept it, for it cannot be changed. But when your true death comes, there are two paths open to you. You can be brought to the peak of the shining pillar, or you can be cast down into eternal suffering at the foot of the pillar. If you wish for the twin solace and eternal bliss in the hereafter, submitting to their will is the only way. Nathan hangs on your every word. The despair on his face is replaced by rage. He leaps to his feet. His fingers ball into fists, a single tear rolls down his reddened cheek. No, that cannot be. It is impossible. You simply cannot be right. The twins are testing me, and they're testing me right now too. I'm gonna tell Mom you're spreading heresy. Uh-oh. Nathan screams these words in your face and runs away, his pendant clenched in his fist instead of around his neck. You turn back to the book with a heavy heart. It always hurts to face the cruelty of this world. Will your younger brother weather the storm? You know his threat means nothing. He will never tell on you. His doubt is too great. Your younger brother Nathan Brante receives a spiritual admonition from you. Alright, we are 14 years old now. This is a longer game than I expected. I think this should be where we leave it for now. Just quickly checking the tabs over here. Yeah, I think this is a good stopping point. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, bye.